Okay, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about this dialectic. Okay, so we talked about dialectic. Hold on, let me get that. All right, so we talked about um, dialectic is we gave the 3 points of the definition. One, first there's conflict, opposite principles. Two, the opposite principle are linked together. And then three, we talked about how dialectic has a resolution. Okay, and we talked about how the dialectic ultimately seeks what we call the victory of passion. Victory of passion. Victory of passion. Now, one of the things that's important to realize as far as dialectic goes is that good does not need evil to exist. Good to be good does not need evil to exist. In other words, what that means is that in order for something to be good, which we're calling, of course, in the course, passion, okay? In order for something to be passionate, to be good, it doesn't have to have evil. It doesn't have to have desire to be good. All right? So, for instance, devotion to my wife is just good, okay? And I don't need to cheat on my wife for to have devotion, okay? Devotion to the wife, is simply good in itself. Devotion to the wife is just good in itself, meaning you don't need cheating for devotion to be good. I don't need cheating for devotion to be good. See? I don't need to have cheating for devotion to be good. Devotion just is good. It's just, that's its nature. It's good. However, good can be enhanced by the experience of evil. All right? Good can be enhanced by the experience of evil. It doesn't need it, but it can be enhanced. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say, and that's what the dialectic does, see? The dialectic is right there, see? The dialectic is this conflict where through the conflict, good is enhanced. Okay, hold on a second. All right, so Okay, so let's look at an example. Let's say you have the example of adultery. Man cheats on wife. All right. Now, as we said before, loyalty and devotion you don't need adultery for loyalty and devotion to be good. It's just good. However, let's say you have a guy who, he enters the world of desire, okay? He's in the world of desire. And by entering the world, he enters the world of desire and he ends up cheating on his wife, okay? Adultery. All right. Okay, so he goes, he cheats on the wife. He gets caught. The whole thing ends in divorce. Okay, so now you got this horrible situation. Now, years later, this guy who's going through this horrible divorce and everything because of his adultery, years later, he meets a woman and he falls in love. He falls in love again. And they get married. All right? Years later, gets married again. Okay. And now, because of what he went through in the past, that he went through this horrible experience of this divorce because of his adultery. Now, because of that dialectical experience of that conflict between faithfulness and cheating, right? And everything he went through. Now, he realizes, even to a greater degree, he realizes how great devotion is, see? And he says, I'll never cheat again. I'll never do that again. So he realizes how important devotion is. All right? Because he went through the dialectical experience of being a cheater, see? So what happens is, because of the dialectical experience of having committed adultery when he was supposed to be devoted to his wife, his previous wife, all right, because of that experience, now he realizes how important it is to be devoted. So notice, good is being enhanced by the experience of the evil that he had before. So in this case, the dialectic is bringing forth a greater understanding of the good. The dialectic brings forth a greater understanding of the good. Okay? The dialectic brings forth a greater understanding of the good. All right? Now, let's say this same guy, he goes through the divorce and everything, and he's all alone and he's just in despair. Like his wife left him. All right, we're back to where there's no new wife or anything. He gets divorced. We're talking about the first experience now. He gets divorced and he just he falls into despair. He falls into despair and loneliness. And in his despair and loneliness from because his wife left him, his family's all broke up, he's divorced, okay? In his despair and loneliness, let's just say he just drinks all the time. He just stays drunk. stays drunk. He stays intoxicated. He wants to escape the misery. See? We'll see now the dialectic of between, the evil he did and like the future possibility of goodness, which he's given up on. Now, in this dialectic that he's in between desire and passion, because passion is calling him towards to have hope in the future. All right. Now he's giving into desire. See, he gave into desire with the adultery. And now in his despair and drunkenness, he goes into desire even more. He falls more into desire. Falls more into desire. So the point is, what I'm trying to get at is, good doesn't need evil to exist, but good can really be enhanced by evil. It can be. It doesn't need it, but it can be enhanced. And also, the experience of evil, if we continue to give into our desires, can further the experience of evil. So the dialectic can go either way. See, the dialectic can push us towards a hopeful passion in the future, or we can reject that and fall deeper into despair and darkness and loneliness. See, so the dialectic can go either way. The dialectic can go either way. It can push the guy towards passion or towards more despair. However, if the dialectic pushes the person towards out of his guilt and shame, and he sees how bad he was, and he just stays drunk all the time. If the dialectic pushes him towards greater desire, then in some sense he's rejecting the purpose of the dialectic, because the purpose of the dialectic is to move towards passion. All right, so the dialectic can go either way, but in essence, the true meaning of dialectic is to push always towards good. So if there's a fall, if there's a movement towards greater despair, if there is a movement towards greater despair, all right, if there's a movement towards greater despair, that is fundamentally in violation of the meaning of dialectic. Movement towards greater despair is a kind of violation of the real purpose of dialectic. Because the essence of dialectic ultimately is the victory of passion. Okay? As we, the essence is what it's really headed towards, what it really desires, what dialectic, the passionate purpose of dialectic is the victory, okay, of passion. The victory of passion in the dialectic is what's normative. So, if the adulterer falls into greater despair in his future and just stays intoxicated all the time, all right, then he's fundamentally, what we have to say is, he's fundamentally wrong in doing that. He was wrong with the adultery, and now he's wrong with the intoxication. Wrong on wrong.